and the SEC, we'll talk about what our expectations are for them for 2024.
For sure. So I was planning on doing all of the Power Four. Obviously, the Pac-12 is dead, and it's pretty much the Pac-2. They're going to be facing the Mountain West and something like that. And it's a dead conference. Okay, so we're not really going to cover them because they didn't add nobody. They just pretty much uh, non-existent anymore. But as far as the ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, and the SEC, we are going to cover each and every conference, and we are going to save the SEC for the last because the best is always saved for last. So, with that being said, let's hop right into it with the ACC. The ACC added 3 teams: Cal, SMU, and Stanford. Okay, um, we're gonna talk about realistic scenarios for realignment teams in 2024. So, what is the realistic expectation for these teams coming into a brand new conference in 2024? So, let's get right on into it, and let's not waste any time. But if you like this content, smash the thumbs up, and if you really like this content, hit the subscribe button. We are streaming live on the Mayhem Matthew channel and the Ballard Sports Media channel. So if you want to watch your content on Ballard Sports Media, go over there, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and also do the same for the Mayhem Matthew channel. So with that being said, let's get started. The ACC, the realistic expectation for Cal. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to be honest. Win a couple games. You suck, okay? I don't think that the expectation is bowl. I don't think the expectation here is get to a bowl game. I do not think that. I think Cal has always been a sucky team throughout history of their football program, and coming into the ACC, they got a lot of great competition. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really see them doing much in the ACC. They couldn't get anything going in the Pac-12. Doubt very seriously they're going to get anything done in the ACC. So with that being said, win a few games and be proud of it. What do you think for Cal?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Mayhem. I would say just improve. I mean, you say win a couple games. You look back at last year for California and the Golden Bears, they lost no more than 4 games in a row, but they were able to go 6-7. Now they lost by 20 points in their bowl game against Texas Tech, but still at the same time, that's just 1 year. They're used to going like 3-9 or 4-8 or something like that throughout history. They're one of the worst winning percentages programs out there in history. Eh, I can't even recall a time as a kid when watching all these teams in college football and anyone even talked about the Golden Bears. So I think you're right, but I think they got to build on trying to win a bowl game. If they are anything like they were last year, they will go into this conference not cakewalk over anybody really necessarily, but they should go 6-6 no problem. But you get to a bowl game, and I think you got to try to win it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So the only time I ever remember talking about the California Bears is Marshawn Lynch and Aaron Rodgers. That's like the best thing that ever came out of Cal. So I know that Cal made a bowl game, lost their bowl game, and you would like to say let's build on that momentum and make a bowl game this year, but you're in a whole entire different conference, new teams, new atmospheres, and just a whole different situation. And you wasn't able to do that year in and year out in the Pac-12. I doubt very seriously in the very first year that you make a bowl game. I mean, uh, I really don't believe that. So that's why I'm sticking to what I said. Uh, you know, win a few games, 4 or 5 games, and I think that'll be a huge W for Cal in their first year. So, with that being said,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's go on to the next one. SMU. Now, SMU, this is going to be their first time in a Power Four conference, right? Um, and SMU, they're one of them teams that in the group of five that were really good year in and year out, and I do believe that SMU needs to do the same exact thing. Um, that well, I think SMU's expectation is uh, to make an impact, right? And you can decipher what that means. I don't know if that means make a bowl game, but uh, they need to make an impact in the ACC. They need to you know, they need to make their presence known that yeah, we were in group of five years prior, but we're in the ACC, we're in a power conference now, and we belong here. So whenever I say make an impact, I mean you know, win some big games, try to get bowl eligible, and say we belong in the ACC. We belong in a power conference. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, first off, we want to shout out the chat real quick. I see our buddy Rooster, the Gamecock Grind. Uh, he says, "Go Bears, win the ACC, make them all cry." Gamecock Grind says, "Wake up, Ballard. I'm up. Thank you." Um, Macklin Griffin, what's going on? Shout out to the chat. Love you guys. So, uh, for SMU, interesting team here. You talk about the head coach, Rhett Lashley. His head coaching record, he has no experience prior to SMU, but he has been a player, when he played a backup quarterback, you know, for Arkansas, he was a quarterback, so he kind of has that offensive knowledge. And we have seen great quarterbacks at SMU recently, and we've seen really good play calling for the offense. And I would say I I would agree with this comment from the Gamecock Grind. I don't know. I guess I would agree. I think they're one of the best group of 5 teams out there that are coming into the to a Power 5 conference. SMU is better than over half the existing ACC teams. I don't know if I'd say over half, but I'd say about half, yeah. I guess that would make sense. I mean, this is a team that brings a lot of production back. They went 11-3 last year. They were undefeated in conference play. They had only lost a game at TCU and at Oklahoma. Now, you could say whatever you want to about the rest of their schedule, and they played a bunch of scrub teams. You could say that, but I think winning against Louisiana Tech, winning, I don't know, North Texas could be a good team. Navy's a good team. Memphis is a good team. And some of these games were kind of close too. They won some close games, and then they beat Tulane in the American Championship. Don't ever sleep on them. So, and then they lose to Boston College, an ACC team. They only lost by 9 points. That's still single digits. That's a close game in my book. So I look at this and I look at SMU and I say they got potential. They bring a lot back. They're going to be really, really good. And I Don't know exactly what to expect, but I think that Rhett Lashley, the head coach, knows what he's doing, especially with this high flying offense. And I think you need that today in college football. I think they are set.
So I'm gonna kind of recap of what I just said earlier. Whenever I said I think SMU needs to make an impact in the SEC and make people believe that they belong in a Power Four, a big power conference. Um, what I mean by that is, if you take a look at last year's final standings in the Big 12, you know, you had UCF, you had Houston, Cincinnati, and, you know, the Bicycle College and BYU. They've never really been in power conferences. And if you take a look at the rankings there, Cincinnati's at the bottom, Houston's at the bottom, BYU's at the bottom, and then UCF is a little bit up there, but still in the lower half. And the best of them group of five teams that came into a power conference went 6-7. So I do believe whenever I say SMU needs to make an impact, they need to win some big games. They need to try to get to that bowl eligibility. They need to make their mark in year one of the ACC, and they need to silence the doubters, and they need to be able to say that they belong in a big power conference. So, with that being said, last but not least, we have Stanford. And since I went first on last two, I'm gonna kind of let you take the reins on this one.
Uh, Stanford Cardinal. No. I mean, Stan- they're just not. They never meet expectations. I don't even know what the expectations are for Stanford. I mean, where would you put them, Mayhem? Because I look at them and I say, just another team that just needs to improve year in and year out. I mean, in recent years, they have not been very good. They went 3-9 last year. They were 2-7 in Pac-12 play. Lost their last three games. Were able to pull off a couple wins, but overall, like they're nowhere near bowl eligibility year in and year out. And you know, from my knowledge, it didn't used to be that way with Stanford. But at the same time, in my lifetime, I cannot recall them ever really being relevant.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, just to kind of go over the first two teams, Cal, I said that they just need to win a game or two. SMU needs to make an impact. And for Stanford, I'm going to be honest, this is going to shock you, man. Yeah, they might be a terrible team, but I do think Stanford can get to that bowl eligibility. So I am going to say for Stanford, they need to strive for bowl eligibility in their first year in the ACC. That might come as a shock to you, but
Nope.
Stanford, I'm gonna go ahead and make that bold take. You know, on the touchdown show, we do bold takes here, and my bold take is Stanford needs to shoot for bowl eligibility. I think that's a realistic expectation for the trees. So, with that being said, up next,
I think it's a realistic. I think it's a realistic expectation. I look at their schedule. Like I could pull it up if you want me to, but like looking at it here, I mean they got TCU to open things up. That's going to be tough. It is at home. Then they play whoever Cal Poly is. That's a win. But then they get a bye week. Then you got back to back road games with Syracuse and Clemson. Virginia Tech, you can say whatever you want to. I like Brent Pry. I thought he was good at Penn State. I think he comes in with a lot of potential, and I think he's going to consistently improve at Virginia Tech. I don't know what to make of them this year, but again, I still consider that a tough game. Then they got to play at Notre Dame, SMU, Wake Forest, at NC State. I mean, that's a tough stretch of games right there, and it just kind of gets harder up until maybe that San Jose State game at the end of the year. But I think you made a really good point too. I think they could improve, but the schedule is not favorable at the moment.
I think you got a lot of 50-50 matchups there. And if you count all the 50-50 matchups and including the easy wins that they have, you mentioned two of them there. Um, I could easily see 6 wins. I don't know why that wouldn't be the realistic expectation for Stanford. Now, I want to ask you a question. Out of Cal, SMU, and Stanford, who do you think in year one is most likely to succeed?
My gut says to go with SMU because of what they've done recently and what they bring in and what they've done in the portal, what they've done in recruiting. I mean, they still recruit at a pretty good level. I don't know if it's enough for Power Five, but I history would say Stanford. Recency would say SMU. And I got to go with my gut and say recency right now. I think SMU is set up for it. I think the Mustangs come in. I think they're ready to roll. I think they have a high flying offense that can compete with a couple of the ACC teams out there. Now, I look at Miami. I look at Clemson. I look at Mac Brown in North Carolina. I don't know too much about their quarterback situation this year, replacing Drake May, but there's going to be some team Louisville, Florida State. There's going to be those higher uh, ACC teams, right? That they probably can't mess with. But the Wake Forest, Syracuse, whoever out there at the bottom end of the spectrum in the ACC, I think they could compete. I'll say SMU.
So, you know what they say. You said you're going by recency. And you
Right.
also said that Stanford would be, um, something, if you're going by historic, I guess, if you look back in what history says, right? And me and you both, me and you both are not even really even talking about Cal. So I think we can agree there that Cal is not even in this conversation. But um, I will say that history repeats itself once again, and I am going to go with Stanford. I think Stanford is set up to be more successful in year one. I want you to hear me out. In year one, I didn't say in year two, year three, year four. I didn't say in the long run. Who knows if the ACC is even going to be alive in the long run? But in year
Right.
one, I do have Stanford being more successful. And let me say that one more time in year one. And I'm not saying long term, I'm just saying in the first year. I think SMU is going to get punched in the mouth, and maybe they think they're better than what they really are. Maybe they get punched around in the mouth. Cal, like I said, not even going to mention them. They need to win a few games to even uh, have any faith in me, or for me to have any faith in them. Sorry. And like I said, I'm going with Stanford. But let's move on to the Big Ten. You got four instead of three in the Big Ten. You got Oregon, USC, UCLA, and Washington. Let's start off with Oregon. How do you feel about Oregon?
I love them. I think that bringing in Dylan Gabriel to replace Bo Nix is a huge step in the right direction. I'm not completely sure about their running back situation. I know my Buccaneers picked up Bucky Irving, which is a tough loss there, but I think they recruited a high level. They'll be okay. In really any position on the offense, I think it's going to be explosive. I think their schedule it is tough, but I think Dan Lanning, being a young coach that can adapt to today's college football, I think that it will go a really long way with Oregon. Um, and I would say if you want to base it off coach, Lincoln Riley's your guy in the Big Ten for new teams, right? I think we know what he's been able to do at Oklahoma. Now he brings it to USC, and yes, he has struggled, but we still need to give him time. But if you want to talk about who's in the best shape right now, Oregon has been, and probably of those four teams always will be in better shape than anybody else.
So I'm gonna be honest. How I feel about Oregon, they better be in the Big Ten championship this coming year because
Yeah,
I believe
I
they're
agree.
that good. I believe they're that good. I know they are having quarterback questions right now, but so did Georgia last year. And I know we didn't make it to the playoffs or anything like that. Um, unfortunately, we missed it, but we went to a New Year's Six bowl, beat the dog doo doo out of Florida State, 63-3, and I do believe that Georgia was top team from last year, but this year, Oregon, first year in the Big Ten, Oregon, you need to make the Big Ten championship. Oregon, to me, is on fire right now. They got everything. I'm in love with their coaches. I'm in love with the offense that they run. I'm in love with this Dan Lanning mentality. He had that same mentality whenever he was defense coordinator at Georgia, and he brought that same mentality to Oregon. A lot of confusion on whether he was going to be leaving Eugene for the Alabama job, and literally he stayed at Oregon. I am pretty sure if he wanted the Alabama job, he could have got it. I really truly believe that. Dan Lanning has ties whenever it comes to Kirby Smart in Georgia, and what he's done at Oregon so far with being pretty successful. And I think Oregon is set up for success in year one. My expectations, and they might be set high for Oregon, but my expectations is Oregon needs to at least make the Big Ten championship. And I know you call me crazy. That's what I'm on here for you to call me crazy. But let me know down in the comment section if you think I'm crazy. I think Oregon deserves to be hyped up because, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. They are a very good, phenomenal team, and just watch out for the Ducks. Up next, we got Southern Cal. I'm gonna be honest. If that, ooh, Lincoln Riley, Lincoln Riley. If you ain't got,
It's
if
all
you
because of the coach. It has nothing to do with it's all Lincoln Riley's show, right?
Lincoln Riley, my man, you have
Win
a
a
lot
playoff
of
game.
talent, Lincoln Riley, but you had a lot of talent last year. What did you do with it?
Joking away.
Did they even make a bowl game? They might have. I don't
They
know.
made a bowl game. They went 7-5.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. My expectation is for them, talent wise, they should be going 9-3, 10-2, 8-4 at the worst. But they got a. I mean, the Big Ten is stacked. We're going to talk about two other teams that are really good here in a second. Southern Cal, man, if you don't get it together, are you even going to make a bowl game in the Big Ten? And I'm being serious because last year the Pac-12 was stacked. They from top to bottom. I mean, the Pac-12 was stacked. Washington, UCLA, Southern Cal, Oregon. You know, all four of them teams was the in the Pac-12. You also had Oregon State. You also had Oklahoma State. I mean, no, I'm sorry, not Oklahoma State. But you had a bunch of teams that were really good. Arizona, right? Um, Now you got teams like Ohio State, Michigan, and you still got the other teams that are coming into the Big Ten. You got Wisconsin, right? Um, USC, if you ain't finding the defense, I don't have any faith in you. But my expectation for USC is to at least improve from last year. And I know that sucks. I should be saying, championship. I should be saying the same
Yeah.
thing about Southern Cal that I am Oregon. But honestly, my realistic expectation for Southern Cal is just improve. Win one more game than you did last year. Go 8-4. How you feeling?
Yeah. Just constant improvement for Southern Cal. I just, it's just, to me, it's a Lincoln Riley thing, man. Because, like, he was at Oklahoma, he couldn't win a playoff game, but he got there. We know he can do it as a coach. And USC, even before him, was, I mean, they're a good program all time. They are. I mean, I don't know, man. I think it should be compete for Big Ten championships or get to the playoffs or something like that. But I know it has to be baby steps.
Yeah, I think if they have another 7-5 season, Lincoln Riley will be on the hot seat. And that sucks because Lincoln Riley is a fantastic head coach, but defensively, they're going to lose a lot of games because, I mean, in the Big Ten, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, all these are really good defenses. I would even say Purdue has a solid defense. Illinois has a really good defense. Iowa has a really good defense. So
They might be close.
whenever I think about these great defenses, can USC can USC's offense be so elite that they don't need a defense? And I think the answer is no, because all these teams that I just said had great defenses, except for Iowa, have pretty good offenses as well. And we've seen last year, Southern Cal allowed San Jose State to score almost 30 points on them. So USC, man, you need to improve defensively, and you need to win at least 8 games. You need to improve from last season. What about UCLA?
Why'd you screaming? Anyway, Chip Kelly.
No, not Chip Kelly. You there, Ballard? Ballard? Did we lose Ballard? Did we Just lose Ballard. Hello, Ballard. We can't hear you. Well, until Ballard comes back, Chip Kelly is not the head coach of UCLA. Chip Kelly, yep, we lost him. Chip Kelly is the offense coordinator at Ohio State. And I think the new head coach is Deshaun Foster. All right, you back?
Yeah, you're right. It's not Chip Kelly anymore.
It's
He's been with.
Deshaun Foster.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
like I was saying, Chip Kelly, just like Rooster said, is at Ohio State. He is the offense coordinator there, and he couldn't handle the NIL deals and all that stuff. He couldn't handle all that pressure, so he went to Ohio State to be a offense coordinator there. But with UCLA, got brand new conference and also brand new head coach. I'm gonna be honest, this might sting a little bit, UCLA fans, but I'm going realistic expectations. Make a bowl game. What about you? I'm gonna keep it simple.
Now, I guess, yeah, I don't know what else they could try to do at the moment. Um, um, I think they just need to make a bowl game. They don't even have to win a bowl game, do they? Do they have to just make it, you think?
I think they could just make it.
That's fair.
Last but not least, Washington. Um, this past season they had a tremendous season, going to the national championship. Um, and they lost their head coach as well to the Alabama Crimson Tide there. And also, Washington gets Arizona's head coach, Jed Fish. So, with that being said, I think Jed Fish is a tremendous head coach. I do think that Washington is going to be really, really good. Obviously, you're coming off of a national championship run. Do I think Washington is going to go right back to that? No. Do I think that Washington is going to become a TCU and just drop off the face of college football world? No. So my real expectation for Washington this year is to win 8 or 9 games. I think that is a realistic expectation. I don't think the expectation should be go for championship games right now. I think that will be a couple years down the road. But as far as right now goes, Washington, you know, brand new head coach, new styles of play and new theories going there at Washington. Brand new conference. You do have some familiar faces with Oregon, USC, and UCLA, but like I said, brand new head coach as well. So I'm gonna say win 8 or 9 games. I think if you get to 9 games, I think that is a huge success in year one for Washington. I think 8 games is pretty much where you want to be at. I think if you only win 6, that's kind of like a bummer. Winning 7 games, that would be okay. But where you really need to be is that 8 wins for Washington. That's the expectation for me.
Yeah, they're not that program that needs a national championship right away. I mean, like I said, they got a new coach in Jed Fish. Did great at Arizona. Um, and it's but he's transitioning to the Big Ten. I would peg Washington right now 8 or 9 wins at most. I don't think they're quite at 10 wins yet, but I think you need to take what you can get if you're in year. Just take what you can get if you're
For
Washington.
for sure. So let's move on to the Big 12. Talking about Jed Fish, we got Arizona moving to the Big 12. The head coach ain't moving to the Big 12. He's moving to the Big 10, but brand new head coach down in Arizona. You still have that phenomenal quarterback down in Arizona. Um, this is the Big 12. And I'm going to be honest, Arizona, this might shock you, even with a brand new head coach. I'm going to say Arizona should be competing for the Big 12 title. They should be wanting that Big 12 title. I think the Big 12 is wide open this year. I'm going to say that again. I think the Big 12 is wide open this year because they don't have Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12. You still got Utah, you got Arizona, you got West Virginia now. You got a couple other teams that could be a realistic possibility for the Big 12. Oklahoma State. I know they were down a couple times in the past few years, but uh, you know, more than likely Oklahoma State's going to be in that Big 12 title picture again this year. But Arizona, my realistic expectation for them in the Big 12 is trying to fight for a Big 12 title. What's your thoughts? Well, can't get his thoughts because yeah, he's not here with us. So I'll get his thoughts later on in the show. As far as Arizona State, they have brand new head coach as well. Um, Arizona State, I'm gonna say the same exact thing that I said for Cal in the ACC. Just prove that you can win. I guess do better than you did last year. You got a brand new head coach, and maybe that can spark some momentum. Maybe he can lead his team with some victories and maybe get to a bowl game. But I think as far as Arizona State goes, I think they just need to take one game at a time and win each one that they can. I wouldn't focus on getting to a bowl game yet. You brand new head coach, brand new conference, and not a really good team. So with that being said, I have Arizona State just winning some games, honestly. Um, I think as far as Colorado goes, now Colorado is going to be the talk of the town because of Deion Sanders, just like he was last year. They were 3-0 to start the season last year. Everybody had them in the top 25 after 3 weeks in, and then they went on a tremendous losing streak and totally fell off the face of the earth, and nobody ever talked about Colorado. So for the Big 12, they're coming into the Big 12. Like I said, the Big 12 is wide open, but is it wide open enough for the Deion Sanders in Colorado? My answer is no. But I will say this. My expectations for Colorado is to make a bowl game. And, last year in the Pac-12, I believe they went 4-8. If they can win two more games in the Big 12, which I think is reasonably possible, I think Colorado should be striving for a bowl game this year. I think Deion Sanders is not going to take the losing mentality much longer. I do have Colorado at least trying to make a bowl game this year. I'm gonna go ahead and do Utah and then Ballard. I'm gonna ask you all four of them. So as far as Utah, I think Utah should be competing for the Big 12 title in year one. I'm going to say it one more time. Big 12 is wide open this year. They have a couple of teams that can totally make the Big 12 title, and I think Utah is probably number one on my list. And so, with that being said, Cam Rising's coming back. Got some weapons at wide receiver. You just got a lot of things going for you on offense, defense. They're not that bad. They're not amazing or anything like that, but they are a pretty good defense. And so, with that being said, I expect Utah to be on the top of my list as far as Big 12 goes. Kyle Whittingham is going on his, I guess, farewell tour. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. They already named a head coach whenever Kyle Whittingham retires. So this is going to be the Kyle Whittingham Utah farewell tour. What better way to end his career at Utah? Give him a Big 12 title, right? So my expectations is be in that Big 12 title and possibly even win it. I mean, back-to-back Pac-12 champions. I think it's definitely possible, and I expect it. So with that being said, Ballard, give me your thoughts on Arizona first.
Oh wait, sorry, I was muted. I was saying all that and I was muted. Arizona was a really good team last year, I thought. Um, I I don't know. It's definitely going to be different. Number one, they got a new head coach. Jed Fish is at Washington now. Uh, plus a new conference. I think they take a step back, but I still see them making a bowl game. Don't they still have Noah Fafita at quarterback? I think he's
Yeah,
really good. He's still going to lead the offense, and I think it's still going to be pretty explosive. But I don't see them winning as many games as they have the last couple years.
for sure. What about Arizona State?
Terrible. I don't even need to speak my mind.
Okay. Colorado.
I think a lot of people are pulling for Dion like myself, but at the same time, it's going to be tough. I don't, man. Something in my gut tells me they could get to a bowl for some reason, and I don't know what it is, but I know it's a step up in competition. But they bring a lot back. They've utilized the portal. Also lost some. Like it's kind of like they lost guys, but at the same time, if I recall, like what I've done in my research and talking about them a little bit, and we'll talk about them tomorrow morning. But they really have made up for what they've lost. And I think that's very important. Watch out for Colorado this year. I say no more than 7 wins, but I think a floor is like 5-7. What do you think?
Well, while you was having some internet connections, internet issues there, I said that Colorado's expectations was a bowl game. I actually agreed with you here. I said Colorado went 4-8 last year in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was loaded with a lot of great teams, and they managed to win 4 games out of their tail. Colorado is in the Big 12, which I have stated like 3 or 4 times already, but I'll state it again so you can hear that the Big 12 is wide open, and I think they could get some easy wins. And then I also think they can be one of them upset teams. And I also said that Deion Sanders is not going to be a loser for forever. So yes, he went 4-8 last year, but I don't really see a world where Deion Sanders is going 4-8 every single year. That's just my thoughts. So I'm expecting Colorado to be trying to make a bowl game this year. So I agree with you. What about Utah?
Utah's good, man. Really good. Really, really good. Remind me, Cam Rising. He was injured last year, but he's back.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't know about a Big 12 title. I expect them to be in the mix, though. I'm not completely sure who I like. It wouldn't surprise me if they made it, but I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I think they're a team looking on the outside, like on the outside looking in terms of getting to a conference title game. But don't be surprised if they show up like under the radar and sneak up and kind of, I don't know, make some moves.
Yeah. I'm gonna just tell you what I said earlier while you was gone. I expect Utah to be in that Big 12 title.
Okay,
That's that's just how I feel. If they're not, that's a letdown year for Utah. I don't care. Argue with me. I don't care. Utah, like I said, we're going to talk about later here really soon in the show about Kyle Whittingham. He already named Utah already named a head coach for whenever Kyle Whittingham goes off into the sunset, retires or whatever. So, like I said, and I'll say it again, Utah. This is a farewell tour for Kyle Whittingham. What better way to send him off with a Big 12 title, back-to-back Pac-12 championships, and just to add on to it, the cherry on top, give him a Big 12 title. They got the players to do it. They got all the motivation, and they got all the momentum coming into this year. So I like Utah. I like Kyle Whittingham. He's very tough. He's very physical. He even brings his physical toughness to the team, and it makes his team physical. And I think they are going to run over a lot of teams in the Big 12. And don't be surprised if Utah wins the Big 12 title.
I got you.
So the SEC, obviously, these are Texas and Oklahoma. We just got done talking about the Big 12. They used to be in the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC. Before I get to that, who's, in your opinion, is most likely to succeed out of the Big 12? You already know my answer is Utah. What about you?
Oh, for the Big 12 realignment teams, I would agree about Utah, um, for sure. I mean, there's a couple different teams out there, but I think Utah, out of the new teams for 2024, I think you'd be crazy to pick against them.
For sure. So, in the SEC, you have Texas and Oklahoma. Texas made the college football playoff last year, and they bring. Sorry, one second. Sorry, guys. It is past midnight, by the way. And we are bringing this content to you live, and this is not a recording. This is live. So, we're doing this for y'all, trying to get the content up. And so if you like it, leave the thumbs up and subscribe to both channels. So, but anyways, just throwing that in there. Texas brings back a lot of weapons. The most, the most valuable weapon that they bring back is Quinn Ewers, right? They bring back a lot on the O line and D line. Texas is going to be ready for the SEC. And my expectation is, and you're going to be surprised. And I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say it, Ballard. This is going to break my heart because
It's what I think it is. We're on the same page, but go ahead and finish.
I don't want to say this, Ballard. I want to. I don't want to say it, but
Say it.
I was a Texas hater all last year. And so this year I can't do that because I've seen progress. I've seen progress, and they made the college football playoffs last year. I'm going to go ahead and say it, man. I need them. Their realistic expectation. I don't want to just put some dumb thoughts, out in the internet. My realistic expectation is to compete for the SEC title. I mean, I'm not saying that they are going to make the SEC title. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they need to be in contention for the SEC title in year one, okay? Sorry, SEC fans. I am so sorry.
How
But
did I?
yes,
Why did I think you dropped the ball on what I think they're gonna do?
what do
Because
you think?
I would not be surprised if in late January 2025, Texas is in the national championship. I would not be surprised at all.
Well, we're talking about realistic here. So
I
I
think they have some of the most returning production outside of maybe Georgia in the SEC, but also in the country, bro. And they've utilized the portal, and Sarkeesian in an offensive league is a mastermind at this stuff. Why would you not pick them to make a good run? They were in the playoffs last year. Those guys come back. Some of them left, but a lot of it comes back. They bring in guys like Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Blackshear on defense. I mean, dude, they got dudes, studs.
so we're talking about the SEC, right? We're not talking about Big 12, right?
I know.
Alabama has studs. Georgia has studs. LSU has studs. Ole Miss has studs. Oklahoma has studs, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. And by the way, Oklahoma beat Texas last year. You know, a lot of team. Missouri has studs. Tennessee has studs. I can keep on going. Last year, could you have told me that about the Big 12? About all these teams that have studs? No, you couldn't. We're talking about the SEC. I am saying that they need to be competing for the SEC title. I do not see them. I do not see a world with their schedule. The two teams that come to mind that they have to play are Michigan, that's out of conference, and Georgia, and that's a loss. So, with that being said, they already got one loss on their schedule. And so, whenever I look at the rest of their schedule, they still got Oklahoma, and they still got some other teams that are also really good. But I am going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They have a tremendous, talented team, and I am going to say they need to be competing to be in the SEC championship in year one. But if they don't make the SEC championship, I don't think it's a down year for Texas. I just think that the SEC is loaded, man. Loaded. So, Oklahoma, just like I just said, beat Texas last year. They bring back their head coach. They have a brand new quarterback situation going on. They lost Dylan Gabriel to Oregon, I believe, and but they bring back a lot of weapons as well, and they did pretty good in the transfer portal and that. So I think Oklahoma is going to take a slight step back. So the SEC is tough, man. I think Oklahoma is going to take a slight step backwards, and my realistic expectation for Oklahoma is to be in that 7 to 8 win range for the year one in the SEC. Um, I'm not sure how that quarterback is looking, but man, I'm nervous for Oklahoma. I don't think Oklahoma is able to beat Texas 2 years in a row, but it is a rivalry game, and you never know what's going to happen in them type of games. So Oklahoma is always going to play their A++ game whenever they're playing Texas. But are they going to be able to play their A++ game every single week, week in and week out in the SEC? Don't believe so. So my realistic expectation is if you can get to 8 wins, man, Oklahoma, you did a fantastic job. If you can get to that 7 to 8 wins, I would say that you had a great first year in the SEC. What's your thoughts?
Couldn't have said it better myself. 7-5, maybe 8-4 is their ceiling. I think they have some good guys on the team. I think that Oklahoma, I they're mid tier. Look, man, they're not at the bottom. They're not bottom feeders, but they are nowhere near the top. And I know Lincoln Riley was a good head coach, and look what they were a few years ago. Well, we're not living in the past. We're living today. Brent Venables, pretty good head coach, good recruiter, using the portal, got good guys. They've lost some guys though, such as we talked about it, Dylan Gabriel to Oregon. I don't know exactly what to expect from Oregon or Oklahoma this year, but they will be mid tier SEC. And they will be in a bowl game for sure. But it's going to take a long time for them to get to where they're competing for a conference title game in this league.
For sure. So that pretty much concludes all of the realistic scenarios for 2024. We're gonna kind of go fast with the next couple of topics because it is kind of getting late, and we're almost to that 1 hour mark on the live. So I think we did good today. But since I did talk about it earlier in the live and I said we would talk about it, let's talk about Utah defense coordinator Morgan Scalley or however you say his name, renamed Kyle Whittingham's eventual successor. So this came out Monday, July 1st. I am reading this from The Athletic. Monday announced defense coordinator Morgan Scalley as its head coach in waiting to succeed Kyle Whittingham whenever the longtime Utes coach decides to retire. He is 64 years old. So what is your immediate thoughts on that?
It cut out for me. Can you repeat some of that?
So Utah on Monday announced defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley as its head coach in waiting to succeed Kyle Whittingham whenever the longtime Utes coach decides to retire. Kyle Whittingham is 64. Before I continue, what is your initial thoughts on that?
He's a legend. I mean, he's gotten a lot of achievements, accolades, a lot of big time wins with Utah. Um, he's come a long way. I don't know what to expect in the next leadership, but if he decides to retire and hang it up, he's earned it. And we applaud him for what he did to make Utah what it is. And, I guess the only question I would have is part of it moving to the Big 12? Is it the changes of college football, kind of like with Nick Saban? How would what would you say to that question? Like, what do you think? Did he really give a reason for his retirement, or?
Well, let's keep on. Well, he hasn't actually officially retired. So, but anyways, uh, this is not the we're talking about Mr. We're talking about Morgan Scaley here, okay? The defense coordinator. This is not the first time the former Utah All-American safety was penciled in as the future coach at his alma mater. The university suspended Scaley and rescinded the head coach in waiting language in a previous contract in 2020 whenever Scaley had sent a text message containing a racial slur. So I guess he must have kissed a lot of booty, and he must have gotten better in the last 4 years because now he is back in that penciled in mark as the next head coach of Utah. Scaley, which is 44 years old, enters his 17th season on Whittingham's staff and his ninth as defensive coordinator for the Utes. Scaley has established himself as one of the top defensive coordinators in the country. And pretty much Utah has, I guess, Utah has, named him the next head coach because he's been dedicated to Utah and he's had continued growth there. Um, this is this is what Scaley said, and I quote: "Utah football and Utah athletics has always been home to me and my family. I am honored to receive this distinction." Scaley said in a statement, "I remain committed to my continued growth as a coach and a person. As a member of the amazing University of Utah community, our staff is excited to start a new era in the Big 12 this fall under Coach Whittingham and continue the traditions that have become part of our proud history." So he's very excited about that. He wants to continue what Kyle Whittingham has already put in for Utah football. So this is what Kyle Whittingham said in an interview in 2023 about the man, about Morgan Scaley. He said, "I really believe in Morgan Scaley. I believe in Morgan Scaley is one of the best football coaches I've been around. I don't think it's any secret that he deserves to be next in line. I think it's earned, and he deserves it and is very capable." So very good words coming from Kyle Whittingham, which we all believe is an amazing head coach. So my thoughts on this is going to be very simple thoughts. Morgan Scaley, number one, don't mess up again. Okay? Because, you mess up again, your chances are zero. And also, thank your lucky stars. Be thanking God that you even have this for what you did in 2020 because just be thankful that you have this promotion because I mean a lot of people would not even consider promoting you after what you did in 2020. I'm glad that maybe you have changed, and that's what I'm hoping, that you have changed, and Utah has closely been watching you closely, and maybe they have seen that you've changed, and I hope that is, what happened. So, I wish nothing but the best for you, Morgan, but don't be stupid. All right.
I
Uh, so, also, I think Kyle Whittingham, if he does win a Big Ten title, um, maybe he can just ride off into the sunset this year. Obviously, we're talking about it. So that means there is some smoke, and where there's smoke, there's fire. So, but I'm going to say this one more time. Morgan Scaly, don't be an idiot. Don't be stupid. Do the right things. Respect other people. And thank God that you have this opportunity. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I I think Morgan Scaly needs to be thanking Utah, thanking the good Lord above, and he only gets one shot at this. It's like almost like one screw up and he's out the door, and I think that's fair.
For sure. So if y'all like this episode of the Touchdown Show, please leave a like on both of our channels, Mayhem Matthew and Christian Ballard of Ballard Sports Media. It is getting really late. We had some other things planned for the show, but we will do that on the next show. So please turn on your notification bells, like the live shows, and subscribe to our daily videos and stuff like that. If you're interested, my name is Mayhem Matthew. This is Christian Ballard of Ballard Sports Media. And my last words are go dogs and have a great night.
Have a great night. Love you. Jesus loves you. God bless. And roll tide.